Good morning. Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. Sometimes you just gotta jump in the water. You're at the pool and you don't know whether the water is warm or cold. Sometimes you just gotta jump in. So that's what I'm doing this morning. I didn't feel like reading the news, so I didn't read the news. I didn't feel like coming up with a topic, so I haven't. What I do have is peace of mind. That's running through my mind today. When I was meditating last night, I realized that I'm responsible for my peace of mind. Every individual in the world is responsible for their own peace of mind. That doesn't mean that we can abuse other people. It doesn't mean that other people should not be taken into consideration when we're working on our own peace of mind. When we do that, that's not peace that we're seeking. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes when we're looking for our own peace of mind, we forget those around us. It can be very difficult living in this tumultuous world. Everything happens all at once. The idea of time, I forget who said it or where I read it, but the idea of time was invented so that we could get things done. I don't think there is an actual structure called time. I think there's only now. That's why I don't believe time travel is possible. I only believe in the now. We can remember what happened. We can forecast what will happen. But really, everything's just happening all at once. Right now. Striving to be a good person has always brought me peace of mind. And I can't change that. It's just sort of who I am. Trying to help other people has always brought me peace of mind. And again, I can't change that. It's kind of ingrained into my being. It's how I was reared and how I want people around me to behave. It's caused me a lot of problems in the past. And sometimes you have to overcome those problems with a good cup of coffee. I had a fantastic childhood. Sometimes looking back on it, it brings me much joy. It wasn't without its trials. That's true. My earliest years, I was an army brat. I can remember moving to a large city in Bangor, Maine. Some of you might not have known that. I was in second grade. And my second grade teacher was Miss Bacon. And my third grade teacher was Miss Ham. In my family, my father had the greatest sense of humor. But as soon as he said it, the rest of the family caught on. They told me that my fourth grade teacher was going to be Miss Eggs. And of course, being young and gullible, I bought right into it, and I was very angry about it. I thought I was going to go through the whole breakfast menu of teachers. Thinking back on these things brings me much joy and peace of mind. It is something that I strive to do. I look back on my life and I try and pick out my best memories. And this brings me peace. I think if we concentrate too much on the negative things, that will kind of destroy us a little bit at a time. I point out to myself throughout the day that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I probably don't use that particular saying properly, but in my world, what it means is all the loud jerks. Well, they are the ones that stand out. So oftentimes during the day, what I will do is I'll take a moment and I'll sit back and I'll say, okay, this person was a jerk to me, but look at all these other people who aren't being a jerk to me. Look at all these other people who are being nice and sincere. There's a lot more of them. There's a whole lot more of them. That brings me peace. Knowing that, for the most part, in my line of work, it's very important to do that. Because if you don't do that, there's no way you can do your job. I get cut off on the daily, who knows, 3 or 4 times. There are people who are not cognitive of truck drivers in the vehicle's limitations, and they will jump in front of you, and you always have to be ready for that. And then there are people who are cognitive of truck drivers and are aware of their limitations, and they use that for their own gain, and they cut you off. Usually it's with the intent of getting in and getting ahead in traffic. So we're coming, you're in a traffic jam or something, and they know a truck driver, he can't follow too closely with the car in front of him. So this person will go up the left lane fast as they can until they see a truck, and then they'll jump in front of that truck because they know there'll be an opening there. That actually brought me to the understanding of what a zipper merge is. And we wouldn't have the problems we have in traffic jams if everybody would learn to zipper merge. But there's this problem. It is the human psyche. And the people who are in the traffic jam, who believe they are doing the right thing and getting in the line, don't want to let the people in the left lane in. Well, the idea is everybody kind of goes at the same pace, and the 2 lanes merge into one at the merge points. But we've yet been able to learn to do that. We have the people who are taking advantage of the open lane, which shouldn't be open, and we have people who know that they're doing that, so they're trying to not let them in. And me trying to figure out the motivation for that guy that shoots up the empty lane as fast as he can and then dodges in front of the big truck so that he can be a little bit ahead. That led me to discovering exactly how zipper merge is supposed to work. Those squeaky wheels in life, those people, the odd man out who's raising all the hell, they are in the minority. They are the person who is the most notable, but they are not the majority. And to bring myself peace of mind on the daily, I have to remind myself that there are a lot more people doing what they're supposed to do. And I don't know if the person who just jumped in front of me has awareness of what a truck's limitations are, or if they are just being a jerk and trying to get ahead of everybody in line. I don't know. So I have to let that go. All that being said, I like my job. It's a fun job. For me, some people might find it mind-numbingly boring. I always find ways to amuse myself. I always find ways to find joy and happiness while I'm doing my job. A lot of times that means I'm listening to a podcast or talking to a friend or just thinking about things that are going on in life. But it wasn't always that way. There was a time when I hated my job. It kept me away from home. It kept me away from the people I love. And then cell phones. So I was able to touch base with the people I love. And that made a huge difference. But it was still a boring job. Early on, I could not maintain radio signal and listen to a radio unless it was nighttime. So I became a night driver. Because at night you can listen to an AM radio for 200-300 miles. That brought me a little bit of joy. And then computers. I actually hooked up my laptop to my tractor stereo, and I would load up as many early on podcasts as I possibly could. Don and Drew was an early podcast. Keith and the Girl. Adam Curry had a podcast. It was fantastic. I suddenly didn't have to worry about signal. I suddenly didn't have to drive mindlessly. I now had entertainment. It wasn't the highest quality entertainment, but it was entertaining and it was informative. And now, in the world of podcasting, this is phenomenal. There is always something to listen to. I'm not good at this, and I don't care. It brings me happiness to talk, and it brings me peace to do this. So I'm probably going to do it for a while. I don't know how long. But we're all responsible for our own peace. And when we stop seeking peace, when we stop seeking joy, things tend to fall apart. Things tend to get tumultuous. So it's important that we do that. It's important that we don't forget. We need to find peace. And it's a journey. It is not a destination. The search for peace is what brings peace itself. Don't forget, that guy that just cut you off, he or she is a minority member of jerks. Look around you. Look at all the other people maintaining their lane well, maintaining their lane in life well, doing what they are supposed to do to maintain their level of peace and their level of joy. I find it very heartening when something like that happens to immediately now, okay, this guy just did 100 miles an hour, slammed on his brakes, and jumped in front of me. Immediately, after I make sure everybody's safe, including the jerk that just jumped in front of me, immediately I look around and I realize everybody else is probably mad at this jerk too, because he's disturbing their peace. But they're all doing the right thing. So for the most part, we live in a peaceful world. And in this country, we're very fortunate because trying not to cuss here, because the jerks are in the minority, but they are loud. If you ignore that squeaking wheel, that wheel may have serious problems. And if you ignore the squeaking wheel of life, well, you may rear end him, or you may come up on a traffic jam caused by him. I'm not saying ignore the squeaking wheel. I'm not saying ignore the jerk. What I'm saying is realize the rest of the world is not. Just that one jerk is. Weirdly, I've had a long day yesterday. I didn't get off work until, I got off work late, probably 6:30. And then I went straight to Costco and did some shopping. I like Costco. A lot of people don't like Costco because of their politics. I don't care. Good product. And it does my soul good. It brings me peace to know that they treat their employees well. That means a lot to me when I find that out. That's why I like my Kroger that's right near the house. There's a guy in there. He has such a fantastic attitude, Frank. Frank always meets me. And the The first time he met me, he called me out by name. He said, "Hey, Joe." I said, "Oh, how you doing?" And I'm trying to figure out where I know this guy from. And if he finally smiles at me and says, points to my shirt, and of course my name's on my shirt. But he went into a full-on conversation with me, and just a super nice guy. He might be a little bit younger than me, but he's right around my age, so he knows all the crap the world has put my generation through, and I know all the crap that he's been put through, and we just fell into a conversation in the produce aisle, which was a wonderful break in the day, and it was wonderful because the squeaky wheel in this case was not a jerk. This guy was a wonderful individual, and he bought me peace while I was shopping. At any rate, that makes me think that the people at this Kroger are being treated well, and they're almost all good-humored. There's an occasional squeaky wheel, it's a bad squeaky wheel, but for the most part, they're all decent. Meanwhile, the Walmart just up the road with all their self-checkout lanes and the one full checkout line, the people at the Walmart, they're not happy. Man, they're not happy. And it shows. I try not to go to Walmart. I try and go to Walmart as little as possible. Occasionally we have to go. There's a one thing that we can't get anyplace else, and we have to get there. And I don't go to the one near the house. I go to the one actually probably furthest from me that's reasonable, because those people have a better attitude. At any rate, it's our own responsibility to find peace of mind. But it's also our responsibility to not affect other people's peace of mind detrimentally. I think that affects our own peace of mind. It is Thursday. We are over the hump. A lot of people believe that a 3-day weekend is the best part of the week. I think it's only half of the best part of the week. The other half is you start off almost to the next weekend. I like my job. I love my family. I look forward to going to work. I look really, really forward to coming home. I suppose I should get ready for work. I suppose you should get ready for work. Unless you're not working or you go in late. I actually do go in late. I go in late. I know that. My nephew says I have banker's hours. Sort of have a desk job. It's just got a steering wheel in front of it. I hope that you all have a fantastic Thursday. I hope you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, ciao. This podcast you're watching, it will take me probably close to 40 minutes to edit out the breaks and the coffee drinks and all that stuff. Probably this part as well.